couple of ideas. The first insight, big idea out there, and you know this, but what has worked for us was the ability to have a recognizable and a credible brand. And with that, I mean a couple more things. It's about being clear about your expertise. It's about having that obvious message and be an authority in that area. And with this, you know, a lot of us have written books, we have spoken on radios, we have written articles and things like that. But don't just do it. Have an obvious message as why you stand out. And at the same time, be easily found and contacted. Now, do you know that over 50%, okay, as a survey was done recently, 50% of the traffic on the web, in the internet, where you click contact, 50% of the people don't respond within 24 hours. Okay, think about that for a moment. Within 24 hours, 50% of people don't respond to that contact. It's either it gets stuck in some spam mail, or it's such a generic info that it never got to you, or you could not be found. And do you know that 25% of websites in the contact area don't have a proper phone number that you can contact them at? So, something for you to take note. SEO, queen of SEO here, right? She has grown her business from search engine optimization. So in my perspective, that's what I did as well. I put a lot of effort in making sure that I had good visibility in search engine optimization. And today, a lot of the different keywords that if you put in there in sales training Asia, sales training Malaysia, sales training Singapore, sales training Thailand, you see me popping up in the first couple of pages. So every day I get many hits in terms of requests, in terms of sales opportunities. A very biggie here. A very biggie, and it's connected to my third insight, which I'll share in a very short while. Now, if you are furiously trying to write down notes of those little things here that I'm about to say, don't worry, send me an email and I'll send the slides to you. Just want you to have the big idea out there first, okay? Would that be fine? Big idea? All right, so the whole thing about face-to-face engagement is lots of time folks don't have the opportunity to get that face-to-face with you. And that face-to-face to me is really important when you want to build long-term business. I'll talk more about that as we go along. Be involved in associations, very important, because if you're not in the associations, how can you say that you're an authority? How can you say that you are a mover in that industry, right? So if in the speaking industry, you know, be in the association of speaking industry and associations, so on and so forth. If you are in if you're an authority in medical sciences, be in that authority of those associations. Okay, always be ready. Have a well thought out methodology to do things. You must have a strategy of how your expertise is to be deployed. If you don't have a big picture that can be given to a customer that can be rolled out over 3 years, then you're not going to get an engagement opportunity over 3 years. So I'm going to show you in a short while what I mean by that. And be ready to respond really quickly. Have everything in place, have your testimonials, have your proposals, be ready to turn it around within 2 hours after you meet the customer. Does that make sense? Because it really shows that you are an authority in that area. Okay? So, be an expert and a consultant. So what this means is that don't just be an expert who delivers, be a consultant. Customers don't just want a speaker, they don't just want a trainer, they want a consultant to solve problems. They need a consultant to solve issues, right? So the whole idea is that when you are solving issues, you're helping to meet customers' needs, but more importantly, you become almost like a Scott Friedman in your own aspects. You know, the guy that connects everybody, the guy that connects everything. So be that useful resource that integrates everything together. See, when a customer talks to us with a sales problem, we help them in not just their sales training. We help them reorganize their sales processes. We help them reorganize their policies. We help them reorganize their compensation plan. We help them do that whole breadth of what we're talking about. So have a tool to say or to prove that you're a consultant. Now, everybody can create a tool. If you spend enough time understanding your own content, understanding what you're trying to assess or trying to close in terms of gaps, you can create your own tools, and you should create your own tools, because that's the only way that you can build stickiness. Okay, the tool that I created is actually called the Sales Star Inventory. It was published in my book, The DNA of a Sales Superstar. The tool is now used in 10 countries. Okay, so it will grow a life on its own. You have to have that value add for your clients. Now, understand what a proposal to a customer means. It means that not only can you call out an executive summary of the state of the situation that you understand their challenges to be in, but also make sure that you also have a clear solution roadmap. And that means the ability to have a 1-year plan, a 2-year plan, a 3-year plan that you can help them. Lots of times I find that speakers do have a roadmap, but the roadmap is what's next in terms of your next convention. Right? We have to go beyond that. We have to have something that's in place that can tell them that, look, if this 300 come now or this 500 come now, can we break them up into, classes of 20 or 30s? Can we do something more for them? What else is there? Okay? Have the ability to be able to measure ROI against investments. Clients who invest with you need to understand what type of returns that they're going to get. And in a short while, I'll talk a little bit about ROI and what you should be measuring. Okay, CBA stands for cost-benefit analysis. Okay, contingency plans means backup plans. Always have a backup plan for the client so that they know that they can go on a modular or a phased approach. So, this books which you can find outside, it's also found in all the bookstores around in Singapore as well, and it basically measures these competencies of salespeople, their strengths, their dispositions, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this particular thing here is my methodology. It's our methodology of how we make it work. So we always have the tool at the heart of it all. Do you see that? You always have the tool. It's not your speech. It's not your topic. It's the tool. It's that something that makes you stand apart, right? Can you use that tool across the whole organization? Yeah, Bernadette, you do a lot on presentation skills. Yeah, can you use a tool that can cut across, the organization, right? Can you use a tool that helps with the recruitment of the right people to be in the right place for the right role? Can you use that for some kind of training closure, right? In terms of gaps. Can you use it in terms of how they measure appraisals and things and so forth? Yeah. So opportunities of using the tool. The next thing is about structure. We all need to have some kind of structure in place to support what we need to do. How many of you right now are operating a one-man operation? Just a show of hands. One human operations. Couple, right? A couple of us. Yeah. Now, it's important to realize that all of us start small, right? All of us start small. But the whole idea is that how do we look big even though we are small? How do we operate big even though we are small? So for us, it started by finding the right partner to operate with. Now, I'm not talking about just an ad hoc joint venture kind of MOU where you said that there's no, there is no real gain or pain. So you need to find someone that you can work with, that you can grow an equity pain or gain type situation. Do you know what I mean by equity? Where everybody puts some kind of money into it. So in the case of Jonathan and I, what we did was we all operated our own consulting firm, but what we did was everything that we made, doesn't matter whether I did it or did it, as long as it came in, we would contribute 30% into building another brand. And this brand would be the organization that would represent both of us, right? So that's what we did. So we contributed 30% every time we made money. And so over the last few years, since we have built this brand, Power Up Success, we have now invested over, this year we would have invested over 3 million ringgit already in that organization. But that 3 million ringgit has brought us tens of millions of dollars, yeah? So more than that. Now, invest in operational support. Now, all of us need some kind of operational support, and that's the reason why we are able to have face-to-face engagements. Now, clients who want to see us in Saudi Arabia, right? Clients that want to see us in Hong Kong, clients that want to see us in Taiwan. I don't have to be there personally myself. I have the people there to represent me, right? And these people represent me for a reason, because they are part of our team, and they are not just an event broker. They are not just a speaker bureau. They actually represent us. They hold our name cards. So that works out really well. I don't have time to share the details on how you can license those people, but if over lunch or whatever, if you can catch me, I'll share with you how we did it, how we were able to license so many people around the world to be willing to hold our name cards and to be dedicated only to selling our brand and our products. I'll share with you that on an individual basis. So the whole idea is certification. You have to clone yourself. All of us have got an ability to clone what we do. Would you agree? Yeah. It's fun to clone people to do what we do, so that your cash register can go cha-ching, 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 cha-ching many times more, right? Without you having to always be doing the work. Now, the idea is you want to do the work that you love to do. And sometimes the work that you love to do, it's about having the time to do it as well. I spoke to Christian yesterday, and Christian says that he has got no time to travel outside of Singapore because he's just too busy, right? He's just booked up. And I'm sure that's awesome, because I love that feeling of being booked up as well, because it just feels that you're being wanted by your customers. But we can't be always booked up all the time. We will be burnt out, right? But the idea is, how do we get ourselves constantly booked up as an organization rather than a Christian Chua or a Raymond Poon or a Bernadette, right? The idea is certify other people to do what you do. Establish success criteria. One of the things that we use to measure success in our organizations is the number of concurrent training days per day. That's how we measure whether we are successful. So if we know that we are serving 10 clients that day with 10 speaking arrangements or 10 concurrent trainings, then we know that we have come to a certain level of success, right? So we use that as a measurement. And we also measure the number of training days per trainer. We also measure the number of participants per month that we actually engage. So those are our success criteria to see whether we're actually going in the right direction as well. Big one here. Offer comprehensive solutions. Now, I'm a big fan of Ron. I'm a huge fan of Ron. Ron talks about, digging a trench that is 6-inch wide, but 6 miles deep. Have you guys heard that? No? I think
2 inches and 2 miles.
Okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong. But anyway, I think that was what he was trying to say. Yeah, I think 2-3 years ago, Ron said that. Now, to me, digging that trench deep means that you are going deep with what you can do, what offerings you can do. See, if I think about presentation skills, and maybe half of us in this room focus on presentation skills, right? What are the other things that are related to presentation skills if you wanted to go deep? Fear, handling rejection, building rapport, networking, influencing, and these things, etc., etc. And this is what we mean for us as well. When we talk about that comprehensive breadth, we're talking about things like that. Think about sales. We've got sales mastery. We've got generating leads. We've got sales presentations. This all works, right? Now, the reason why clients chose us for long-term engagement was not only because we offered this width or this breadth of what we did. But what we did was that we were able to actually offer, sorry, let me just go down there. What we did was the ability to offer more than that. What we did was the ability to go wide. And so if I take the example of the presentation skills very quickly again, I would say that going not just deep, but going wide meant that in presentation skills, you would have assessment tools. You would have a post-training practice sessions. You would have post-coaching training sessions. You would have minimum criteria of hiring this salesperson unless they pass this assessment. You know what I'm trying to say? I have a client that I'm working with who are hiring salespeople. Now, one of the criteria in their business is the ability to present. Okay, so we provide them a tool to present to assess the ability of a salesperson before they are hired in the ability of presenting. Right? So now that becomes a tool for hiring salespeople. Right? So that's going wide. So all of us can do that. You can do your focus groups, you can do the mystery shopping, you can do the strategic planning, you can do whatever you need to do to rebuild a whole wide solution for your customers. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can do that, let me share with you. We have a model like that. Okay, I'll send these slides to you so you can see the details. We have a model like that. If I have a client that can take this project, and if the client is of a size of about 500 employees, for that division, for that department that will undergo this training, this project would run 2 years, and it will be worth $2 million. Okay? Now, of course, you can't do it yourself. And that's why you need to have all your sustainable structures, your certifications, and so on and so forth. But you can always collaborate. One of the ideas that Bernadette was working on yesterday when we were talking over dinner was that she was trying to work with a group of us to actually give more legs to her presentation solutions that she was offering her client. So she would take the platform, right, and she would do a generic, maybe a big general session, right, on presentation skills, and then people will break up into smaller ones to work on rapport, work on sales presentations, work on, etc., etc., etc. I think it's an excellent idea, Excellent, excellent idea. Yeah, so that's another opportunity to do that. So very quickly, you should be asking yourself this question: what can I offer the client that can be in not just depth but breadth as well? That should be a big question that we should be asking ourselves, because if you can do that, then the customer can see that you are able to help them beyond what they can see you doing. All right, last point. Always set measurable and trackable results. In today's business, it's all about the dollar. And in my language, I call it the S11. Dollar, S11, okay? So the S11s are really important for our clients today, and that's why it's really important for us to be able to have some kind of measurable way to benchmark what their challenges are. So my big idea to you is this: for every point that the customer makes to you about the challenges and gaps that they're facing, turn that into be something measurable. Customer says that, you know what, motivation is down, right, in the organization. All right, tell me a little bit more, what do you mean by that? How do you measure the fact that motivation is down? How do you do it? Guys?
Lower, high absenteeism.
Okay.
Lower productivity.
Okay, etc., right? So that's just one idea of putting a number to every challenge that they mentioned. Okay, now people's skills are not up to par. I had this one organization, I'm just wrapping up already, Ken. I have this one organization that we work regionally with, and that client would tell us that, you know, our team is just not up to par. Our mid-managers' competencies are not at the level of a Fortune 500 mid-managers' competencies. So I said, how do you measure that? How do you know that one guy who's a manager in your organization is less competent than another guy who's a manager in another organization? If you cannot measure this, you cannot provide a measurable results for your customers. So you must help them establish some kind of measurement. Now, when you work on those measurements, work on providing a solution that can give intervention for those areas that you're going to improve. So if you're going to improve motivation, show them how much you're going to help them reduce absenteeism by. Show them how much you're going to reduce attrition by. Are you with me so far? Make sense? Okay. And then finally, always have milestones to what you do. I remember, and this is a wonderful case, I remember there was a project that we were working on about 8 years ago. It was about, not that big, it was about $1 million. And then what happened was that the client chose us after 3 months of deliberation. And then I asked the client, why did you choose us? Why did you choose us? And the client said this, said, we chose you because you had the most extensive terms and conditions that I've ever read in my life. And I'm like, okay, that's great. And because I saw that you had so many T's and C's in place, it showed me that you have done this before many times. And it shows me that you probably can do the job. Interesting thing. When your T's and C's are elaborate enough, when you have your ROIs in place, and when you show them a solution that you can offer them in that way, wow, it just turns this whole picture around. Are you with me so far? It was fantastic. It was a fantastic story. Okay, so finally, 5 big ideas, right? The 5 big ideas. What are they? What are they? Turn around to your neighbor next to you and say, build a recognizable and credible brand. Turn to the neighbor next to you. Wonderful. Turn to the person behind you and say, be an expert and a consultant. Wonderful. Skip one person, go to the next person and say, build a sustainable infrastructure. Everybody stand up, huddle up to 2 or 3 people, put your hands around their shoulder and say, offer comprehensive solutions. And then finally, put your hand on your heart and say, set trackable and measurable and trackable results. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to share with you. I hope that I've given you a little bit of insight, even though it's a short amount of time. Let's keep in touch. Let's go for it. Thank you.